Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Rotary Unplugged. I'm Craig Clark, one of the hosts, along with our producer J.R. Muller. We welcome you to another episode of Getting to Know a Rotarian, and special shout out to this episode's sponsor, Sudafed, who is helping me to make it through this day. I've got my
Sweet.
seasonal allergies are kicking in. Luckily, though, I've got a guest today who I think will do a fair amount of talking, so I can be quiet. That's this up and comer. Some of you might have heard of him. His name is David Bułkowski. Welcome, Dave.
Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on today. We'll get to your Rotary story, but first let's talk a little bit about who you are and what you're all about. So, why don't we start with where do you work? Tell us about what you do for a
Sure,
living.
sure. I work at Disability Advocates of Kent County, and I'm the executive director there. But I also get to, in addition to being whatever an executive director does, I get to do a lot of accessibility consulting as well as community organizing around public transportation,
Hmm.
um, and how that's such a critical need for our whole community, not just people with disabilities. So working on those issues and then involved with a few other things in the community, different collaborations.
How long have you led Disability Advocates?
I've been executive director only
A
20,
whiz.
yeah, only 25 and a half years. It's really easy because I started as executive director in January of 2000. So,
Ah,
so math is easy. You don't
yeah,
need
that's a good
math.
one.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, and I mean,
25.
I started with the organization 30 and a half years ago. We have a thing about half birthdays, at least for our oldest daughter.
I see.
And
Yeah.
so and my half birthday was a couple of weeks ago. So 30 and a half years with the
Wow.
organization. Yeah,
Which is weird
I
because you're only like 41.
I am. I
Wow,
am. So I
really
I
started.
I started as a work release from middle school and the yeah,
Are you from the area?
I am. I started breathing air down at St. Mary's Hospital
Okay.
and lived, actually, my parents lived in Jenison when I was born, but then they quickly returned to the west side of Grand Rapids, then moved out to Kentwood. And then I was one of the last people to go to school at St. Joe's Seminary on Burton Street. So some of the Rotarians of my generation and
Hmm.
older would remember that at 600 Burton Street. Yeah, so I went to high school there. I was actually a resident seminarian as a high schooler. And
Wow.
yeah, and then spent a few more years studying to be a priest. And then I finally realized that's not what God wanted me to do. And here I am.
And here you are. It looks like he wanted you to maybe dabble in politics too. You had a fair amount of time as a public official.
Yes, she did. And so it was um, I've always been, a political junkie. And so, I spent 3 years on the Grand Rapids School Board from 2001 to 2004. And then I spent 10 years as a county commissioner from 2012 to 2022.
It's a lot of service. You'd mentioned too that you were talking about transportation, and you told me earlier that you, along with another legendary name in local politics, David
Yep.
Doyle, you've
Yep.
co-chaired every rapid millage campaign.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun, because we as disability advocates, of course, have always been advocating for it. And, I could go on for a few hours if you want the history of it. I gotta write it up because I'm surprised how few people know it and how few people remember it. But we were very active on it, and there was a meeting at that time it was GRATA, Grand Rapids Area Transit
Hmm.
Authority, for those that remember the precursor to the Rapid.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and David Doyle volunteered to be a chair. And then my good friend, Father Mark Shibish, who was one of the co-chairs of a group called Faith in Motion, he said,
Hmm.
and this Dave, wants to be the other co-chair. And I'm like, okay. And so like David Doyle and I have become just such awesome friends. I mean, he is such a wise, and I mean, again, this is not false praise or whatever. I mean, David has done so much for our community, and you know teaching people that good government is not an oxymoron. and bad government needs to be eliminated. So if it's good government, because government just means it's formalized community. And so when we come together as humans, we can do really cool stuff. And
Why the rapid though? Why the transit focus? The passion behind it?
well, yeah, I mean, well, it coincidentally, when I was in high school, we helped advocate for what's now the Burton Crosstown route, because at 600 Burton Street near Eastern and Burton Street, the only way to get to Woodland Mall was to take the 4 bus downtown, and then you transfer to the 6
Mhm.
bus to get out to Woodland Mall. So some of us would get to Woodland Mall quicker by walking down Burton Street to the railroad tracks, cutting the railroad tracks to 28th Street, and then you get to the mall, and it was quicker than taking the bus. And the priest that ran the high school seminary thought, yeah, we don't want anyone to get hit by a train.
Yeah.
Plus, one of the priests who was on staff was a huge transit advocate,
Hmm.
train nerd. And so, fast forward to my very first day at Disability Advocates, there was a follow-up to a lawsuit that 4 guys with disabilities sued GRADA for their lack of Americans with Disabilities Act compliance.
Hmm.
And I truly believe, and again, when I tell the story or I write it down, I'll let you do the press release, Craig, that these 4 guys in 1994, that was the true turning point for transit in our community, because there were studies and people saying we need to do more for transit. But I believe that these 4 guys that took transit so serious that they took GRADA to federal court. It still took 6 years before the Rapid was formed and we saw a real increase in service. But in 94, people said, enough, we got to do something about it. And so my very first day, we met with GRADA staff and these guys, and we talked about how GRADA was complying with the federal court. It was a consent decree because open and shut case, are you complying? They said no,
Mhm.
and the judge said, then comply. So I mean, it just stuck from day one. And again, being a political junkie, it's a great issue, and it's an issue that, I mean, I tell people I sound like a snake oil salesman, because transit can solve so many issues. I mean, and when I really start talking about transit, it's like transit's almost no one's number one issue. I'm focused on the arts. I'm focused on education. I'm
Yeah.
focused on employment, you know? And the number one barrier for all of these things is transportation. I can't get to mental health
Yeah.
services. I can't get to school. I can't get to work. I can't get to my doctor's appointment. I can't get to, you know, I can't get to LMSU ballpark today by
Yeah.
transit,
Right.
So, I mean, it's just, I mean, I have a good friend who actually takes RideLink, which is the senior service out there, but he has to Uber home because he has a part-time job all at the ballpark. And
Wow.
Uber's expensive, folks. I don't get People can tell you all the myths. Why don't we just have Uber instead of transit? It's like, if you do the math, it would be way more expensive than a good transit system. But I digress. So I mean, we get involved with housing now, tons of engagement with housing, tons of work on accessibility. We have a beyond fantastic partnership with Experience Grand Rapids.
Mm.
They're winning awards on their work on accessibility that we partner with. So it's been an awesome ride for me, pardon the pun.
Yeah. Good pun.
Yeah, but it really has. And of course, as an advocate, I'll tell you how to change, but I hate change. Ask my wife. You know, she's she's been with me 33 years and she still lives in now, take care of myself a little bit better.
How long has she been trying to get rid of that ponytail that we can't see currently?
Um, Say that again. I'm sorry. My phone or my car decided to switch off fancy new cars.
Yeah, well, your audio keeps going back and forth, and we can still hear you. I
Oh,
was just saying,
okay.
how long has your wife been trying to get rid of that ponytail that we can't currently see?
Well, actually, she's a fan of the ponytail.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
nice.
I'm just gonna say it's yeah. So she is a fan, and um, so yeah. And as I like to say, there's only one vote that counts, and it's hers, so it stays. But she
But
does allow the Rotary fundraiser. So yeah, she does. We're a year out. Every 4 years, we do the fun fundraiser, and yeah.
and I understand another fan who pulled your hair was the man himself, Pope John Paul II.
Yeah, I mean, with
What's
if
that
for
all about?
well, I mean, that was back in my seminary days. Did
Okay.
graduate. I had the great opportunity to do graduate school in Belgium,
Wow.
and our sister school was in Rome, and we got to stay there for free. And long story short, I had a guy that was part of my first year class that was even more of a political mover and shaker than me, and he
Hmm.
got a retired cardinal in Belgium to hook up a private audience for us. And let's just say, the Pope, he found it he found it a chuckle. I'll send a photo of it. He just started laughing when he reached up and pulled my hair, and so we all got a good chuckle out of that. And of course, John, if you're Catholic, you know that John Paul II is now a recognized saint, and so in theory, my hair is a second class relic because a saint touched it. So I got
You
that
got
going
that
for
going
me.
for you, which is nice.
And the kids, because I always send my hair to Locks for Love. So the
Okay.
kids that have wigs made out of my hair are wearing second class relics. They probably don't know that.
That's fun. All right, let's pivot. Let's talk
Yeah.
Rotary.
Yeah.
How and when did you get involved?
You know, I don't know when, but it was a while ago. I mean,
Hmm.
it was probably the early 2000s. And I mean, Rotary knows, and we're all great supporters of Mary Kay Hood. Her claim to fame, is starting Kids Food Basket. I mean, she is, yeah, only if she let the church, she would be, yeah, why,
Hmm.
it'd be unanimous acclaim. This woman is just saintly in everything she does, but more in the power that she has in changing our community. But anyways, Mary Kay, what most people don't know is that she was actually our first volunteer coordinator at Disability Advocates.
Hmm.
And she started Kids Food Basket on her coffee breaks, kind of. I said, sure, you can do that. I mean, why not? And Mary Kay, she said, Dave, you got to become a member of Rotary. And I'm like, what? And you do what Mary Kay tells you. And a couple of Rotary legends, I believe. I know both Dick Young and one of the Forsland brothers.
Hmm.
They were my sponsors because they were they were both real involved with God's Kitchen, and that's where Mary Kay did a part-time job. And so they sponsored me into Rotary, and um, yeah, I mean, to say the rest is history. I mean, as I kind of alluded to um, early on, when humans come together and choose to do things that are good things happen, and that's what I love about Rotary.
Yeah, and talking about accessibility and mobility, you're kind of the ramp guy too. What's the story behind your involvement on that part?
Well, I mean, we have a fantastic partnership with Home Repair Service at Disability Advocates. And one thing about ramps is it's an extremely tangible
Hmm.
service project where, and again, the club, I'm part of the community engagement committee, so I know, the different things. I coincidentally look around, Christine Lindemann, here I am at Oak Hill Cemetery, where I had to, drive hands free or all that. So I parked here between my meetings, and we do a cleanup here. I mean, that's Christine Lindemann. One of her passion projects is keeping this just beautiful space, quiet space in the city clean. But anyways, so with the community engagement committee, we do. I've been part of Habitat
Yeah.
projects, and again, I love Habitat. But one Saturday we hung some closet doors, and it was, us Rotarians, some of us don't really know how to hang closet doors. So by the time we figured it out, a 4-hour project, we got half a dozen closet doors hung, and we walked away from the house and it looked kind of the same. A rotary or a ramp build project, you show up and it looks like a pile of lumber. Especially the new way they build ramps. The old way there would be sticks in the ground, at least
Yeah.
posts. And when 3 or 4 hours later, you walk away and the ramp's done, and the homeowner or the person who lives there that uses the ramp comes out, and to see somebody use a ramp for the first time, second to none. And I mean,
Mhm.
I actually coincidentally there's a ramp right behind Long Road Distillery, shameless plug, where my son-in-law works and the great folks that own that. I was there last night for a trivia that my daughters put on. Anyways, long story short, drove by the ramp and my wife's tired of me saying, helped build that ramp. And it was actually a Friday morning with Mike Seitzma and his team at Bank of Holland when he was with that bank before they
Mhm.
merged. And so, I mean, that was a Rotary project in conjunction, again, Mike has great Rotarian, and then where his employer. So
Mhm.
again, I mean, that piece, and I still drive by that Habitat house, but it's not as fun to say, yeah, I hung the doors in that.
Right.
But all that being said, and the club, um, I the way we, you know, the way we launder money through the International Foundation, I don't understand it. I'm not supposed to understand it, but it's good laundering, folks. Don't get me
It's the
wrong.
good laundering, yes.
This is the good laundering, that we make our contributions to the local foundation, to the International Foundation, and then we're able to do match grants, and
Mhm.
smarter people than me know how to do those grants. And again, everybody loves it because we're putting up 2,500, the region matches 2,500, and we can build a couple of ramps, and it's just a so I mean to know that. And then our team are doing the assessments. So almost everywhere we do a ramp, we have provided 6 or 12 pieces of equipment for inside the house to make people's lives safer and more independent.
Mhm.
So again, it's a project that resonates so well with folks. Um, and again, people love those tangible projects that
For sure.
you've made a difference when you leave, and it's usually a good tired, because ramp building's manual labor, darn
Yeah,
it.
that's manual labor for sure.
And I don't specialize in that anymore.
Hey, one of the things we were emailing about before this, and you had said that there's a paradigm shift kind of underway
Yeah.
related to accessibility. Tell me more about that. What are you referring to?
Oh, well, it's funny. I was just telling somebody about this as I ran into a friend at a coffee shop. That
Which probably happens everywhere you go.
Well,
Run
almost,
into a
yeah.
friend.
People like to say I know everybody in Grand Rapids, but I don't. I know a lot of people.
You're getting there.
But anyways, that being said, I 35 years ago, the ADA, was passed, and I believe the the best way to characterize it is 35 years ago, people with disabilities pointed to architects and cities and colleges and transit authorities and said, "You're doing it wrong, and here's how you have to do it." And shame just is not a good motivator. It might be a short-term motivator, but shame just doesn't work for long-term
Hmm.
change. And so people just kind of complied with the minimum. And we like to say the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, is the worst you can legally do. And so how do you do more and more? I mean, again, not a shameless plug, but a shameless plug for JR. His dad spent his career working for employment for
Hmm.
persons with disabilities. He himself was a person with a disability. And it's like, yeah, this is the minimum. How do we do more? And 35 years ago, patted on the head. Thanks, Dave. We'll call you. For me, 30 and a half years ago, literally met with the design team at Steelcase about 26, 27 years ago. And we said, you got to work with us. And they patted me on the head and said, Dave, we'll call you. Don't worry. Fast forward to today, I can't tell you about more than half the work we're doing with Steelcase because we've signed non-disclosure agreements. Our test pilots, which are people with disabilities, um, are helping design that next generation of furniture. Steelcase is leading their industry on inclusive design. So it's just fantastically awesome. Um, with that, people are moving from mere compliance to asking us to tell us what you mean by inclusion, and what can we do to do more than the minimum. And again, Steelcase is a perfect example. Experience Grand Rapids, downtown Grand Rapids, seeing progressive companies. I mean, the new amphitheater and soccer stadium. I mean, we actually had a Rotary project, or it was a Saturday, one of those projects where you didn't see the outcome, where we measured every curb cut and section of sidewalk and other piece of downtown Grand Rapids outside. And as Rotarians, we started at the corner of Market and Wealthy, and we walked Market Street to the expressway, and we measured. And Dr. Paul Farr, I mean, again, to call him out, he and I walked together as part of the team, and every piece of sidewalk violated the ADA in some way. And it was mainly cross slopes. And again, if people want me to go to the whiteboard, I can explain it. But simply to say, Paul was appropriately amazed that, oh my gosh, we have to do better. And we were doing that because DGRI, Downtown Grand Rapids Inc., wants to know the baseline so they can do better. So again, with that paradigm shift is people, what is real inclusion? People want it. And so instead of shame, people are starting to understand. And a lot of it is another one of my bumper stickers, which is ironic. I work for transit, but I love good bumper stickers. When it comes to disability, you don't get it until you get it. And that's not because you're a bad person or what. It's you're living life and you're distracted and you're worried about whatever, and then when not if, but when disability hits your family, you're like, oh my gosh, and so more and more folks aren't as shy about disability, because 2 generations ago, you hit disability, you hit it 100%. I mean, and I do have huge respect for Mr. DeVos and Van Andel. And they spent the last couple of years of both of their lives individually using wheelchairs.
Yeah.
And I remember the Grand Rapids Press when there was the ribbon cutting at the Van Andel Institute. I mean, this was the crowning achievement of this man's life. And there was, I don't want to say it was just this quick line, but the reporter at the press said he was so brave to come out in the community in his wheelchair. And it's like, what? What do you mean brave just to go outside in a wheelchair? But that's, I don't know how old the Van Andel Institute is, but that wasn't that many years ago. But today, I mean, we have an awesome partnership with the folks that run the arena and the convention center. And so Rich McKeegan and Eddie Tadlock, they want us to mystery shop their venues so they can get better at welcoming folks with disabilities. So it doesn't take long for things to shift, but it feels like a long time when you're the one pushing that stone.
Oh, yeah. I love, it seems like there's a parallel there as you're talking about just kind of that accessibility in the community and going from compliance to commitment. I've been involved with the Rotary for over a year now, and I've heard a lot of people say, just even in the last couple of years, how Rotary itself has gone from a, kind of a lunchtime thing. And sure, we've got some of the events, we do it to check it off, but people more getting involved because it's personal to them, more of the how can I help versus why should I help. Have you seen that with Rotary?
Oh, fantastically. I mean, again, my love of Rotary is like in inverse proportion to my attendance, because I with my day job, I mean, it's today, I don't know when people are listening to it, but tomorrow I wish I could be there, but then something switched, yada yada, and I can't make. And it's actually Rich McKeegan from ASM who's presenting, and so I usually pencil Rotary in my calendar, and it gets trumped. And so, but I do not. I mean, hopefully nobody in the club thinks if I'm not around, my love and commitment to Rotary is strong. It's one of those things I wish I had more time to give and to be present, because again, it's just touching base with, again, shameless plug, just touching base with you and JR and Dr.
Hmm.
Farr. And I mean, I could just list so many folks where you just want, hey, how was your weekend? And you say, and you listen and you care. And you know, when people listen and care, and that room is filled with people who listen and care and support each other. And so, yeah, I mean, again, I truly, truly value our Rotary Club through and through.
But doesn't it feel like, it's more than just those Thursday luncheons? Sure, that's kind of the
Oh,
anchor, but all you have to do is look every Friday when Josh sends an email. There are just countless opportunities,
yep,
whether it's social or,
yep.
you know, um, uh, volunteer commitment or something. It really is more than just that luncheon, I think. So I think, as you're
Oh,
talking
it's
about compliance
huge.
and commitment, it's
Yeah.
not about just Thursday. Yes, that's
Yep.
the anchor, but ways we get involved otherwise. And you've demonstrated
Oh,
that so much over
and
your history with the
and
Rotary.
yeah, and able to see each other out in the community, like
Yeah.
you said, that anchor and that foundation piece, which is our meetings and our service
Yep.
projects where you get
Yeah.
to hang out and get to know each other better. I mean, it's all about, spending time together and doing things together.
Indeed.
And just, again, again, how long is this podcast supposed to be? Because I could, again, go around the room and just start talking about how many awesome friendships that I have because of my,
Yeah.
and it is the commitment and investment in the relationships at Rotary. And so it's um yeah, the shameless plug for those folks who are even thinking about it. Come visit, the welcoming that you will receive. And if you don't get welcomed, let me know and I'll work with you to get welcomed, because yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, long, long, long ago, I'm almost feeling verklempt. My senior year in high school, I wrote a paper on our religion class about ministers and ministries, meaning like people think the person giving is the minister as opposed to the ministry, the person who's getting that. But the person who gives gets way more. But you don't give to get it. So it's not
Yeah.
like I'm selfish, like I'm going to go do that ramp
Right.
project because I'm going to get a lot out of it. It's like, no, I go do that ramp project because it needs to be done and it's going to be fun, but it's going to be a lot of work. And at the end of it, it's like, man, I got way more out of this. It's just
Hmm.
it. And you pick the service project, you even pick the luncheon, or you pick anything
Yeah.
we do at Rotary. I don't know if there's ever been a thing where I have not been richer leaving that Rotary event. Even I'm thinking of like the another shameless plug, Senior Neighbors, the 16
Yeah.
over 60 last fall, and Alex Wilson, of course, she's of a different generation, so she's quick to say, okay, everybody, we got to do a Rotary in the Wild photo, and so she grabbed the 10 Rotarians who were there, and so that too is just that quick Rotary hit, and you're just, again, the endorphins are flowing, that little
Indeed.
bit of fun to send another photo to Josh.
Well, I think you really hit the nail on the head. Rotary is a ministry, but it's the ministers such as people like you, Dave, that have given so much over the years. We greatly appreciate all that you've done, and we already told everybody this episode was going to run long because once you get wound up, you can't stop. But I didn't realize. Do I need to be calling you Saint Bułkowski, Saint David too?
Never.
This is all
No,
new to me.
no, never, never, no saint for me. I mean, yeah, my theology is that we're all saints, and it's great to recognize a few, but yeah, we're all holy ones. That's what the Greek comes from for our Greek Rotarians.
Oh, yes. Well,
So
thank you so
agapoi.
much, David.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it, spending so much time. Let's bring in another saint here, JR.
All right.
Also
Oh
given
boy,
so
that's a
much.
setup right there. So I don't know
Well,
about
Hey.
that's a paid
that.
endorsement
Right, right,
of you. That
exactly.
was nice.
So, hey, thank you, David, for your time. I mean, I had no idea about the transportation part of it. So, and you've put a little plug in there, being the son growing up of a man with cerebral palsy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually, in older life, he had to go to full power wheelchair, And my
Mhm.
Yeah.
wife, my mom was actually in nursing home, and the only way he could visit her, or they had a standing date at Brands every Tuesday, was a call
Yep.
up Go Bus and get on the schedule a
Yep.
couple weeks before. And
Yep.
but otherwise he would have been locked in his apartment, never
Exactly.
able to
And
go
hoping
anywhere.
GoBus shows up. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, and we've
amazing.
chatted, and I know your dad's story, but I want to
Yeah.
honor the massive, awesome work he did.
Yeah, no, I was there the day the
Yeah.
ADA got signed. I was in front of
Yeah.
the White House doing a plug for Indian
Yep.
Trails Camp.
Wow.
Yeah.
My little passion project. But
Wow.
anyhow, good times. Appreciate your time today. So this podcast can be found at grrotary.org. Just click on the
Okay.
Unplug tab. Otherwise, you can also download the Apple Podcast app and do a search in that for Grand Rapids Rotary Unplugged, and you'll find it there as well. Again, thank you for your time, David. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, David.
Awesome.
I guess.